Hi everyone. So today is one of the most important question: how you handle the exception in the Springboot. So we will apply the trace controller advice annotation on the class level for the it is a global exception handler for the REST API in the Spring Boot. Okay, and at the method level we will apply at the exception handler annotation for a specific exception at method level. Okay, and then we have a complete exception code here. So we will apply the custom exception class like user not found exception, which extend runtime exception and public user not found exception. And here on the service layer we have defined this user not found exception. And at the controller level we do not need to handle this exception because we already handle at the service layer. So we will create a global exception handler with this at the trace controller advice and REST controller advice. And at the method level we will apply this at the exception handler annotation like user not found exception. And at the response status for HTTP response it will return the HTTP response. And here some common exception handlers are there, like exception handler response at the response status for HTTP status like BAT request, internal server error. And we have a custom error response class is also there, which will give us on the error code like internal server error for 500 and something went wrong as a message, and as well as the timestamp. So here exception handling hierarchy is something like that, like at the trace controller advice at the class level. And we will apply at the exception handler for specific exception like user not found exception. For it will give us 404 user not found, for 400 for bad request, and exception handler internal server error for 500, right? So overall the REST controller annotation advice, REST controller advice annotation mainly used to mark the REST controller for to handle the exception. At the exception handler we will mainly specify for exception to handle at the response status annotation for set HTTP status code, and at the response body return the JSON response. Yeah, thank you everyone.